Barron Trump, the youngest son of former President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump, has often found himself in the public eye, albeit more quietly than some of his siblings. Born on March 20, 2006, Barron has navigated a unique path, shaped by both his family's prominence and his own personal interests. Unlike many children of political figures who may seek the spotlight or embrace their parents' legacy directly, Barron has largely maintained a low profile. This inclination for privacy is perhaps rooted in his upbringing, growing up within the walls of Trump Tower in New York City and later moving to the White House. His life has been anything but ordinary. Attending elite schools where he was shielded from media scrutiny was paramount for his parents. Nonetheless, he often emerged as a symbol in broader societal discussions about the next generation navigating fame and expectation. Currently a student at an exclusive private school in Florida, Barron is known to be focused on his academics and sports, particularly basketball. This commitment to education appears to be a fundamental aspect of his identity as he seeks to carve out his own space away from the political spotlight that comes with his lineage. In recent years, Barron has been described as studious and intelligent, values that have been instilled by both Donald and Melania. His mother often speaks highly of him, noting that he is mature beyond his years, a sentiment echoed by those who have interacted with him. However, being thrust into a political arena where scrutiny is rife can prove challenging as a teenager. He faces typical adolescent pressures compounded by the expectations set by being part of one of America's most famous families. This backdrop sets the stage for an incident that unfolded recently, a moment that crystallized not just Barron's character, but also highlighted ongoing tensions between academia and politics. During university lecture, a liberal professor opted to publicly mock Barron's grades during a discussion about privilege in education. The professor's remarks were aimed at diminishing Barron's accomplishments based solely on his surname, rather than considering the individual effort behind them. The professor's comments ignited immediate reactions among students and witnesses who were taken aback by the casual cruelty displayed in an academic setting. Such environments are typically viewed as spaces for learning and growth. Yet this event illustrated how deeply entrenched biases can manifest even among educators who are meant to inspire young minds. As news of this incident spread across social media platforms like wildfire, many began to rally around Barron. Support poured in from various corners, some defending him simply as a high school student attempting to navigate his education like any other teenager, while others saw it as an opportunity to critique what they perceived as elitist attitudes within certain academic circles. Barron himself exhibited remarkable composure throughout this ordeal. Rather than respond impulsively or lash out at those undermining him based on preconceived notions tied to his family name, he chose instead to focus on what truly mattered: his education and personal growth. This decision exemplified maturity beyond his years, reflecting a wisdom that many would argue is rare among teenagers today. The broader implications of this incident serve as an important discussion point regarding how we perceive students based not only on their achievements, but also on their backgrounds. In an age where social media often amplifies negativity and division, Barron's composed response stood out as an example of resilience, a trait that may very well define him as he moves forward. Ultimately, this moment became more than just another headline. It evolved into a teaching moment, not just for Barron, but for everyone observing the dynamics between students and educators. That IT highlighted the necessity for respect and discourse, regardless of one's background, and underscored how vital it is for academic environments to foster inclusivity rather than division. In conclusion, Barron Trump's journey has only begun to unfold amidst these complex narratives and societal expectations. While many might choose to judge based on superficial traits or familial associations, it is clear that Barron's commitment to education and personal integrity will continue to define him more profoundly than any grade could suggest as he grows into adulthood. One can only anticipate how he will further shape his identity apart from the heavy shadows cast by fame and fortune, an endeavor made all the more challenging yet significant in today's polarized climate. The well-known university A lecture room filled with eager students was oblivious to the storm about to brew. The professor, a vocal advocate for liberal ideals, had built a reputation for being both engaging and provocative on this particular day. However, his tone shifted as he embarked on a discussion about privilege and success in academic settings, a topic that often ignites passionate debate among students. And yes, he delved into the complexities of educational inequality. He made an abrupt turn that caught many off guard. With an air of irreverence, the professor chose to make a pointed remark about Barron Trump, referencing him as an example of someone who benefits from privilege simply because of his last name. I mean, what do you expect from Barron Trump? With grades given to him on the basis of who his father is rather than his merit, he sneered, igniting a ripple of murmurs throughout the room. The atmosphere shifted from one of intellectual exploration to discomfort as students grappled with the unexpected insult directed at a teenager they had never met. This incident highlighted not only the professor's willingness to use Barron as a punching bag, but also his apparent disregard for the complexities of identity and achievement. While many students were drawn in by the debate surrounding privilege, the professor's comments crossed a line for several attendees who felt that mocking a high school student was uncalled for. The tone was dripping with condescension, exposing underlying biases against not just Barron, but those who come from prominent families. News of the lecture circulated beyond the classroom walls. Thanks to social media, the reactions began to pour in. Students who were present expressed their shock and dismay at how easily an educator could resort to mockery instead of fostering healthy discourse. Many began documenting their own feelings about being stifled in discussions where personal attacks overshadowed constructive criticism. The incident served as a reminder that academia should be a sanctuary for learning and growth rather than a platform for disparagement based on one's background or family ties. Meanwhile, those outside the university were quick to react as well. Commentators and public figures took to various platforms to voice their opinions on what they viewed as inappropriate behavior from someone expected to uphold higher standards within an educational setting. Supporters rallied around Barron not only out of empathy, but also because they recognized how this incident could reflect broader societal issues regarding respect and fair treatment in discourse. While some defended the professor's right to critique figures associated with wealth and power, others felt that this should not extend to targeting young individuals who are still finding their place in the world. It was a poignant reminder that discussions about privilege must be approached with sensitivity, acknowledging that every individual's journey is unique and shaped by myriad factors beyond just family name or wealth. The day after the incident, social media buzzed with hashtags supporting Barron and denouncing the professor's remarks. Videos surfaced of students discussing their thoughts on campus news outlets and online forums, emphasizing how crucial it is for academic environments to promote inclusivity rather than division. Observers noted that Barron's situation resonated with many young people grappling with similar themes in their own lives, fighting against stereotypes and striving for respect based on personal merit. As tensions escalated around this event, it became clear that it wasn't just about one classroom conversation. It symbolized larger societal divides between generations, political ideologies, and perceptions of privilege itself. The mocking comments soon catalyzed discussions about respect within academia, a space traditionally meant for learning free from judgment based solely on backgrounds. In this light, Barron's experience could offer valuable lessons not only for students navigating their own academic paths, but also for educators seeking to inspire rather than belittle those in their care. A call for introspection arose. Should educators wield their influence with responsibility or risk alienating young minds through derision? In reflecting on this incident's significance within educational discourse today, we are reminded not just of Barron Trump's resilience, but also of our collective responsibility to foster environments where dialogue can flourish without descending into personal attacks or mockery. Debates continue regarding privilege and identity in contemporary society. It's vital we remember that behind every name is an individual defined by much more than familial associations. They are developing characters navigating their own aspirations amidst external judgments placed upon them. What began as a moment of mockery morphed into something greater, a catalyst prompting essential conversations around respectability in scholarly discussions across campuses everywhere. And while Barron may have been thrust into this spotlight unwillingly, he has emerged as a symbol advocating for dignity amid societal expectations, an embodiment of perseverance in an increasingly polarized world. As the lecture progressed, the professor, a figure known for his sharp critiques and unapologetic demeanor, seized a moment to illustrate his perspective on privilege within education. His intention was to provoke thought among the students, but it quickly veered into uncharted territory. With a wave of condescension in his tone, he turned to Barron Trump, using him as a convenient scapegoat in an argument about meritocracy versus privilege. Let's talk about success in education, he began, pacing back and forth at the front of the lecture hall. What do you expect from someone like Barron Trump? Grades handed to him on a silver platter because of his father's last name, rather than any real academic merit. The words landed heavy in the room, eliciting a gasp from some students who were taken aback by the professor's brazen mockery of a teenager they'd only heard about in news. Challenging the notion of individual achievement, the professor painted Barron's identity as an emblem of entitlement. He claimed that the mere association with Donald Trump inherently tarnished any accomplishments Barron might earn as a student. In this country, he continued, we see time and time again how the privileged few are weighted down by their last names instead of lifting themselves up through hard work and dedication. This assertion not only undermined Barron's efforts, but also suggested that his character and intelligence were directly linked to his lineage rather than his personal capabilities. The remarks drew lines of division in the classroom. A mix of agreement from some students who resonated with the critique of privilege and discomfort from others who felt uncomfortable with the professor's choice to target a high school student publicly. The mockery escalated as he delved deeper. I doubt Barron even grasps what real academic pressure feels like, he sneered. He likely strolls into class knowing that he'll coast no matter what. Can we even call it earning when it's merely handed to you? The professor's comments not only failed to engage with Barron's actual academic path, but also reflected a broader bias against those perceived as benefiting from nepotism. Students began exchanging uneasy glances, caught in an ethical dilemma. How far can critique go before it becomes personal? Several attendees felt compelled to voice their discontent, but hesitated, fearing repercussions or further awkwardness. It was one thing to debate ideas, but tearing apart an individual based on their last name felt especially egregious. The lecture continued. Students wrestled with conflicting feelings. On one hand, they were drawn to the discussion about privilege and inequality in education, yet they were aghast at the means through which it was being introduced. Can we just disregard someone's identity and achievements because of who their family is? As whispers spread through the audience, many began to grapple with whether academia should be a space for spirited debate or personal attacks. Afterward, social media platforms lit up with reactions from students who had attended the lecture. Videos went viral, capturing snippets of the professor's pointed remarks. Self-identified supporters of Barron expressed outrage at how casually an educator could dismiss a young individual's accomplishments based solely on heritage. These sentiments ignited a firestorm of discussion online regarding respect, ethics, and boundaries within academia. Critics pointed out that tying Barron's abilities solely to his father's status did not account for his own hard work and commitment. Amidst this backlash emerged numerous testimonies from classmates who might have experienced similar biases within their own educational environments. It became apparent that Barron's situation resonated beyond just his narrative. It illuminated broader issues around respect for personal merit regardless of background. Even after the incident dwindled in news cycles, its implications stirred conversations regarding how educators wield their influence over impressionable young minds. Would they choose to enlighten or belittle? The conversation moved past Barron himself and into something much larger, an examination of responsibility among educators to foster growth through support rather than ridicule. In examining the professor's remarks, one couldn't help but wonder about their lasting impact. How much damage can be done when critical discussions slip into ad hominem attacks? The ease with which this educator chose to leverage Barron's identity as a punchline demonstrated a pervasive issue within academic spaces that warranted exploration. Ultimately, what unfolded during that lecture became more than just an isolated incident. It transformed into a poignant reminder that intelligence should not be measured by family name, but by effort and perseverance. As discussion spread across campus and social media alike, it became clear that many sought accountability for rhetoric that crossed acceptable boundaries in pursuit of intellectual debate. Barron Trump became unintentionally emblematic of resilience amid adversities rooted in both privilege and criticism, a symbol challenging society to recognize each individual as more than just an extension of their lineage and affirming that everyone deserves respect based on their unique journey. As this narrative evolved, it continually highlighted the need for accountability among educators when discussing complex societal themes, particularly those involving young individuals still finding their way in the world. In the days following the professor's derisive comments, the environment around Barron Trump shifted dramatically. While he remained somewhat of a public figure due to his family name, this incident propelled him into a spotlight he had previously sought to avoid. Barron's response was keenly anticipated not only by his supporters, but also by those who may have wished to see him falter under the pressure of such scrutiny. Initially, Barron opted for silence. This decision resonated with many who admired his ability to rise above the noise and refused to engage in a tit-for-tat exchange. Rather than responding directly to the comments or seeking out media attention for himself, he maintained a dignified demeanor, focusing on his studies and personal pursuits. This choice demonstrated an understanding that often, in cases of public mockery, remaining composed can be more powerful than any rebuttal. As social media buzzed with reactions to the incident, supporters rallied around Barron, expressing solidarity on various platforms. Videos and messages flooded in highlighting their admiration for him, not just as Donald Trump's son, but as an individual navigating adolescent challenges amid unwarranted criticism. Posts ranged from heartfelt encouragements to discussions about his academic merits, reinforcing that people saw him as more than a name or lineage. Reports surfaced indicating that Barron had engaged in private conversations with close friends regarding the incident. Those who spoke with him noted his calmness and mature outlook. He understands that not everyone will view him fairly, one friend recounted, but he knows who he is and isn't looking for validation from those who choose to judge based on familial connections. Such sentiments reflected Barron's ability to compartmentalize the negativity surrounding him while remaining focused on what truly mattered, his education and personal growth. That in stark contrast to the professor's public mockery, Barron opted for a grounded approach to adversity. He continued attending classes without drawing unnecessary attention to himself, quietly demonstrating that he would not allow someone else's words to define his self-worth or academic capabilities. This poised response resonated deeply with many college students and young adults who faced similar forms of scrutiny in their own lives. They recognized his composure as a testament to resilience, a quality greatly valued in both personal and professional realms. Moreover, Barron's demeanor during this period illustrated a significant lesson. Standing up for oneself does not always necessitate loud declarations or confrontations. Instead, true strength often lies in maintaining integrity amid chaos. While some might argue that a public statement would have been fitting, others believe that by opting for silence, he reclaimed control over how he wanted to respond to adversity. Amidst the turbulence surrounding the incident, influential figures began advocating for Barron's right to privacy and respect as a young student navigating life away from media scrutiny. Their calls emphasized that whether one agrees with his family's political views or not should not affect how they treat him personally. After all, he was still a teenager grappling with typical growing pains compounded by extraordinary circumstances. That in reflective moments shared by peers after this episode, discussions emerged about bullying in various forms, whether it be within educational contexts or beyond. and how it shapes young individuals' experiences during formative years. Students recognized that Barron's situation echoed broader themes about respect and empathy essential in social interactions. The narrative surrounding Barron gradually transformed from one of derision to one showcasing strength through dignified silence. Many came forward recounting their own stories of dealing with disparagement based on family names or backgrounds, and how important it is to elevate respectful discourse rather than succumb to petty jabs at character. Ultimately, Barron Trump emerged from this experience not only unscathed, but also slightly redefined. What began as ridicule morphed into an embodiment of resilience amid adversity. IT showcased a maturity seldom expected from one so young and illuminated profound lessons regarding respect within academia. Lessons pertinent for educators and students alike that I end choosing not to engage with negativity directly. Barron signaled that one's worth is intrinsically tied not merely to external perceptions, but rather to character and actions over time. The AS conversations continued regarding privilege and responsibility among educators and students. Barron's response provided an unexpected, yet powerful commentary on rising above judgmental views through grace, a theme resonant beyond this singular event. Going forward, it became clear that while Barron Trump might still carry the weight of his lineage as a part of his identity, he was also carving out space for himself amid societal expectations, not just as another name in headlines, but as an individual worthy of respect based on his own merits and determination. As the news of the professor's disparaging remarks about Barron Trump circulated, social media swiftly became a battleground for opinions and discussions surrounding the incident. The platforms, largely dominated by voices eager to express their thoughts, allowed for rapid dissemination of information and a variety of reactions that highlighted prevailing societal divisions, particularly regarding privilege and respect in academia. Within hours, clips of the lecture began to spread like wildfire. Students who had attended the class started uploading snippets on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, where they captured key moments of the professor's condescending comments. These videos triggered an immediate wave of responses from both supporters and critics alike. Many young people found Barron's composure admirable. They expressed solidarity with him as he navigated this challenging situation largely out of the public eye. Public figures and commentators also weighed in heavily. Some praised Barron for his dignified silence amidst mockery. They viewed his measured response as a lesson on how to handle adversity with grace. Celebrity figures from various spheres of influence took to Twitter to express their support for him, emphasizing that no young person should face ridicule based solely on their family name. Tweets flooded in reinforcing themes of respect. Barron deserves better, one actor stated, while another prominent personality wrote about the importance of empathy when discussing subjects like privilege. However, the conversation was far from one-sided. Critics emerged as well, expressing views that some might consider less sympathetic toward Barron. They argued that he should be held accountable for benefiting from the advantages that come with his lineage, viewing the incident as an opportunity to critique inherited privilege rather than empathizing with him as an individual. This perspective suggested that being a public figure, regardless of age, meant facing scrutiny due to one's background. Such comments only intensified discussions around accountability and systems perceived as favoring specific demographics. Social media not only amplified voices supporting Barron, but also catalyzed conversations around broader trends concerning youth culture and familial expectations in today's political climate. Users began sharing personal anecdotes about overcoming bullying or judgment based on their family names, resonating with Barron's plight. Hashtags like #RespectBarron and #StandWithBarron trended as users sought to uplift his image while simultaneously condemning bullying in educational spaces. The incident instigated an influx of content critiquing academic environments themselves. Pieces highlighting how educators sometimes reinforce biases or fail to create respectful learning spaces for all students. Articles and digital publications discussed how such situations could influence young minds and shape public perception regarding personal merit versus societal privilege. In addition to peer response videos and rallies around hashtag supporting Barron, several online influencers initiated dialogues focusing on mental health amidst public scrutiny, a subject many felt was neglected within discussions involving younger figures thrust into high-pressure environments due to their family associations. They shared insights into coping mechanisms and emphasized finding strength through community support rather than engaging in battles for validation. Universities began facing questions regarding their responsibility in fostering inclusive settings free from ridicule over personal circumstances or backgrounds after witnessing this incident unfold online. There was a growing demand for accountability among educators who wield significant influence over student experiences, even as tensions flare between commenters holding disparate viewpoints, some championing Barron's resilience, while others focused on his privileges. The discourse had ultimately shifted toward meaningful reflections rooted in respect and understanding. For many students grappling with similar dynamics in their lives, it became apparent just how timely this conversation was amid increasing polarization surrounding ideas about meritocracy versus favoritism. As social media continued its role in shaping perceptions during this incident, it evolved into a medium illustrating societal values, encouraging self-reflection among individuals influenced by notoriety, shaped both positively and negatively by familial connections. Through retweets, quotes, shares, heartfelt messages of support merged with critical discourse calling attention to systemic issues observed across academic platforms. In reviewing this series of events, it became evident that social media serves not just as a tool for communication, but also reflects cultural attitudes toward youth navigating complex identities amidst prominent legacies. A reminder that while platforms can amplify certain narratives rapidly, they also provide space for collaborative advocacy against unfair treatment based purely on lineage. In conclusion, the power wielded by social media demonstrated its capacity not only for swift information dissemination, but also its potential role in solidifying community support across ideological divides, all sparked by a singular moment during an academic lecture meant to provoke thought, yet inadvertently igniting a firestorm echoed through screens worldwide. Supporters rallied around Barron Trump amid criticism targeting privilege itself. A deeper understanding beckoned regarding respect profoundly vital within all levels of discourse today. In the wake of the professor's mocking comments about Barron Trump's grades, the concept of instant karma emerged as a captivating theme in public discourse. IT raised questions about accountability and consequences in academia, and how actions often provoke immediate reactions, a notion that resonated with many following this incident. The public outrage unfolded across social media platforms. Many advocated for accountability regarding the professor's behavior. They viewed his disparaging remarks as not only unprofessional, but harmful to a young student trying to navigate the complexities of education under the public scrutiny. Discussions about respectful treatment in academic settings surged, suggesting that there should be repercussions for educators who cross professional boundaries. Within days, the university faced mounting pressure from students, alumni, and public figures calling for the administration to address the situation. Social media campaigns emerged, urging university officials to issue statements condemning the professor's comments and reaffirming their commitment to fostering an inclusive and respectful learning environment. Hashtags such as hashtag Karma for the Professor gained traction, becoming synonymous with demands for accountability. Interestingly, while Barron chose a dignified silence in response to his critics, those supporting him began framing his composed demeanor as a stark contrast to the professor's behavior. They argued that while Barron did not respond with vitriol or anger, the backlash against the professor served as a form of instant karma. The argument posited that by publicly shaming a teenager, the professor inadvertently put his own reputation and career at risk. As discussions continued online, news outlets began covering the fallout more extensively. Articles emerged discussing not just Barron's reaction, but also delving into the potential repercussions facing the professor, ranging from reprimands to calls for resignation. Many commentators noted how often academic environments claim to prioritize respect and dignity. Yet, incidents like this reveal gaps between those principles and reality. In an unusual twist, weeks after the incident, reports indicated that students had reached out to university officials expressing their reluctance to enroll in courses taught by the professor, citing concerns about his ability to create a supportive and fair classroom environment. This sentiment indicated that while Barron had emerged largely unscathed from this ordeal, thanks in part to his dignified stance, the professor faced tangible consequences stemming from his ill-timed comments to AS. Pressure mounted on the administration. They eventually scheduled an open forum allowing students to voice their feelings about what transpired in the classroom. That it became evident that many viewed this incident as more than just an isolated event. It catalyzed broader conversations about privilege, respect, and accountability in academia. Students passionately articulated how educators should model constructive discourse instead of resorting to personal attacks. Lessons critical not only for higher education, but applicable throughout society. The atmosphere at this forum shifted dynamics significantly. Some students spoke directly about their experiences dealing with bullying or insinuations rooted in injustice based on their backgrounds, creating an atmosphere charged with emotional honesty and urgency. They emphasized that fostering productive discussions around sensitive subjects is essential and called for consistent training on empathy and respect for educators handling diverse classrooms. Public discourse surrounding instant karma also morphed into explorations of what it means to wield power responsibly within academic settings. The juxtaposition of Barron's quiet resilience against the backdrop of a professor's caustic remarks raised questions regarding moral responsibility and how educators can better prepare themselves for nuanced discussions concerning privilege and identity. Meanwhile, many celebrated Barron's unwillingness to stoop to negativity while also observing how society shapes young individuals' perceptions of honor and legacy. As he moved forward, it was clear that by embracing resilience rather than resistance, he contributed to cultural dialogues necessary for encouraging growth both personally and collectively. Such reflections underscored a vital lesson. Actions can hold resonance beyond immediate encounters. For every disparaging comment made in contempt or scorn, there is a potential shift waiting just beneath the surface. A chance for collective understanding that can emerge from even tumultuous interactions that in examining these events through the lens of instant karma. One finds layered complexities shaping our shared dialogues on privilege and respect each day. The episode surrounding Barron Trump changed how peer interactions might unfold moving forward. It demonstrated that advocating for ethical behavior among educators rests on mutual commitment. From students asserting their rights to feel safe in educational spaces to teachers deciding where boundaries lie between personal criticisms and constructive assessments. Ultimately, this situation highlighted an essential truth. Holding one another accountable can serve not only as justice, but also as an opportunity, leading everyone involved toward more meaningful conversations anchored in respect. Barron Trump did not merely survive this incident. He became part of a greater narrative that advocates decency over disdain, a call resonant well beyond classrooms into all corners of society, striving for understanding amid division. The incident involving Barron Trump and the professor's derogatory comments illuminates broader societal attitudes toward young public figures, particularly those who navigate the complexities of their identities amid political discourse. At its core, the episode raises critical questions about how we perceive individuals in the public eye, especially when familial associations become a focal point for scrutiny and skepticism. In contemporary society, public figures are often subject to intense scrutiny, especially when they are connected to polarizing political narratives. This phenomenon extends beyond just the realm of celebrity. It spills over into various sectors, including academia. Barron, as the son of a former president, represents a unique case where personal identity can quickly become entangled with political ideology and public opinion. The professor's remarks suggest a growing reflex to label individuals based on their family labels rather than their individual qualifications or character. Barron's experience sheds light on how societal expectations shape perceptions of youth within prominent families. Critics who deride him based on his lineage often overlook the inherent challenge he faces in forging his own identity while carrying the weight of familial expectations. There seems to be an unyielding belief that being born into privilege automatically negates personal merit or struggle, a narrative that fails to consider the unique challenges faced by young individuals under constant public scrutiny. Within academic contexts, the incident urges a re-evaluation of how educators can engage with students who come from politically charged backgrounds. The professor's comments reflect a closing off of empathetic dialogue in favor of reductive poverty dynamics steered by prejudice rather than acknowledging complex identities. Additionally, it raises concerns about how educational institutions function as spaces for not only nurturing talent, but also navigating discussions around respect and dignity. Supporters of Barron have pointed out that educators should not use their platforms to mock students, particularly those who are still growing into their identities amid an ever-watchful public eye. The discussions following this incident emphasize the importance of treating all students with respect, regardless of their background. This calls into question how educators frame discussions surrounding privilege. Should such topics be approached with sensitivity and depth rather than scornful derision? Moreover, this episode serves as a reflection on the collective responsibility we share in creating respectful environment for dialogue, whether in academic settings or societal conversations at large. The backlash against the professor signifies a demand for change among those who feel that personal attacks disguised as critiques harm educational institutions and undermine vital discussions about social structures. As tensions continue to rise around narratives involving privilege, there exists an opportunity for growth and understanding among educators, students, and communities at large. Conversations between disparate parties can illuminate shared experiences that transcend superficial labels and foster deeper connections grounded in empathy. It is incumbent upon educational figures and institutions alike to model constructive discussions that bring forth understanding rather than defensiveness. Furthermore, this incident underscores how instant public reaction can serve as a kind of social accountability mechanism, a means through which individuals and communities can express outrage at behavior deemed unacceptable within scholarly environments. As social media broadened reach, many became vocal proponents of establishing boundaries around respect and critiquing bullying behavior from figures who hold considerable influence over young minds. Ultimately, what's revealed through this lens is that young public figures like Barron Trump navigate realms fraught with bias and expectation, yet still hold potential to influence changing perceptions about privilege, whether through silence or strength embodied by moral character. In navigating this sensitive landscape at such a formative age, they remind society that one's worth isn't solely defined by familial connections, but also by integrity, resilience, and a commitment to fostering constructive dialogue. Society benefits from recognizing that each interaction provides opportunities for challenge and growth. Every comment made has ramifications beyond immediate effects. The ability to engage thoughtfully with discussion surrounding privilege is paramount, not merely for Barron Trump, but for all young people confronting similar biases amidst rapidly evolving societal dialogues. In conclusion, this incident has catalyzed important reflections on lingering biases related to privilege, respectfulness in academia, personal responsibility within educational spaces, and how we can collectively reshape dialogues attaching undue blame on references over merit alone. Young public figures are emerging as influential individuals capable of catalyzing thoughtful conversations that transcend generations while fostering understanding amidst prevalent divisions in our world today. The incident involving Barron Trump and the professor's derogatory remarks serves as a focal point for broader discussions about privilege, accountability in academia, and the intricate relationship between student identities and public perceptions in an increasingly polarized environment. The reactions ignited by this episode reflect deep-seated societal beliefs regarding meritocracy, entitlement, and the responsibilities of educators as they navigate sensitive topics involving their students. Within the academic sphere, the remarks made by the professor not only revealed a personal bias, but also highlighted systemic issues related to how privilege is perceived and discussed, using Barron as an example of inherited privilege. The professor inadvertently reinforced a stereotype that equates family name with lack of merit. This oversimplification fails to recognize the individual struggles that students from prominent families may face, struggles often compounded by public scrutiny and expectation. The backlash against the professor's comments underscores a growing demand for accountability within educational institutions, where the goal is to provide safe spaces for learning free from personal attacks or bias. Students expressed concerns that educators should act as models of respectful discourse rather than perpetuating negative stereotypes. This incident thus catalyzes a crucial discussion about how educators can better engage with students who come from diverse backgrounds, particularly those intertwined with political narratives. Moreover, the way society perceives young figures like Barron Trump reveals underlying biases that manifest in broader cultural attitudes toward success and privilege. The incident raises important questions about whether individuals from affluent backgrounds are held to different standards compared to their less privileged counterparts. Critics argue that mocking Barron based on his last name perpetuates class divisions and undermines meaningful dialogue around privilege that could lead to constructive change in a polarized climate dominated by political division. This incident serves as a reminder of the complexities involved in discussing identity and merit. Many supporters of Barron highlighted how his dignified response stands in contrast to the unprofessional conduct exhibited by the professor. This juxtaposition not only redefines public perceptions of Barron, but also emphasizes that maturity and integrity can challenge prevailing narratives about privilege. The social media reactions further illustrate how swiftly public opinion can shift, creating opportunities for dialogue among students, educators, and the larger community. Hashtags supporting Barron began trending. They transformed into platforms for people to share their own experiences with bullying or bias related to their backgrounds. This collective sharing fosters greater understanding while also amplifying calls for institutions to prioritize inclusivity and respect over ridicule. Additionally, the incident sheds light on the role of social media as both a weapon and a tool for accountability. With immediacy, it allows for widespread critique of behaviors deemed unacceptable within educational environments. Yet, it also provides spaces for solidarity among those who empathize with marginalized perspectives. Such dynamics reflect the dual nature of online discourse. While it can amplify voices calling for change, it can also reinforce divisions when discussions devolve into personal attacks. As discussions regarding this incident unfold, they highlight an urgent need for educators to cultivate environments where open dialogue is encouraged, one that includes challenging conversations about privilege without resorting to derision. The role of educators extends beyond imparting knowledge. It encompasses modeling behaviors that promote respectfulness and empathy in discourse surrounding sensitive subjects. Furthermore, this situation has prompted reflections on how young public figures might navigate their identities within critical societal conversations. Examining Barron's experience through a lens of resilience rather than entitlement, society can begin to unpack the complexities behind public perception shaped by familial legacies. Young individuals are not merely extensions of their families' reputations. They possess their own narratives capable of contributing meaningfully to discussions around privilege and identity. Ultimately, this incident serves as a microcosm of broader societal issues surrounding privilege, accountability, and respect within academia. It invites reflection on how we engage with young public figures whose lives intersect with political narratives and what responsibilities we bear in shaping those dialogues. As educational institutions continue to grapple with these themes, there lies potential for transformative growth rooted in empathy and understanding. In conclusion, what transpired during this episode involving Barron Trump extends far beyond a singular moment of mockery. It opens up vital conversations about how society navigates complex identities amid entrenched biases around privilege and merit. As students assert their rights to be treated with dignity irrespective of their backgrounds, educators must heed this call, not only to foster more inclusive environments, but also to embrace the nuanced realities associated with each student's journey amidst prevailing societal expectations. The incident involving Barron Trump and the professor's derogatory comments serves as a significant moment of reflection for both parties, offering profound lessons regarding respect, understanding, and accountability within educational environments. As the narrative has unfolded, it becomes clear that this episode extends beyond a clash between an individual student and an educator. It encapsulates broader themes that resonate well within society at large. For Barron Trump, the experience has been largely transformative. Initially thrust into the spotlight due to his family's prominence, he faced public mockery in a setting that should have encouraged supportive discourse. Instead of retaliating, Barron's dignified silence became a powerful statement. His ability to maintain composure in the face of ridicule speaks volumes about his character and maturity, qualities that often get overlooked when individuals are subjected to harsh scrutiny based on their lineage. This incident has not only bolstered his public image, but has also positioned him as a figure of resilience amid adversity. That Barron's response illustrates an important lesson for all students. Navigating one's personal identity in a world filled with public expectation and pressure can be challenging, yet it is possible to uphold one's dignity through grace. His experience serves as a reminder that young individuals, especially those linked to prominent families, deserve respect and acknowledgement of their unique struggles and identities. The public support reflected across social media platforms showcases a collective desire for empathy and understanding, suggesting that society is ready to engage in deeper conversations around privilege and identity. That, on the other hand, the professor's actions reveal critical shortcomings in accountability within academic settings. His choice to mock a student based on their family name exposes significant flaws in how educators can engage with students who come from politically charged backgrounds. While labeling Barron as someone who benefits solely from inherited privilege, the professor not only displayed bias, but also failed to recognize the complexity of young individuals' experiences shaped by diverse narratives. The resultant backlash against the professor signifies a growing demand for educational institutions to foster environments rooted in respect and sensitivity. Students voiced their concerns about how personal attacks undermine meaningful learning experiences, while highlighting the necessity for educators to model constructive dialogue around complex issues such as privilege and meritocracy. The incident has opened discussions about whether current pedagogical approaches adequately address the challenges faced by students with prominent backgrounds, or whether they inadvertently perpetuate stereotypes. As institutions reflect on this situation, there lies an opportunity to reassess how respectfulness is integrated into classroom dynamics. Educators hold immense responsibility. They're not only facilitators of knowledge, but also guides who shape discourse about sensitive subjects. This incident stresses the importance of training teachers to navigate discussions about privilege thoughtfully, ensuring that classrooms serve as safe spaces for all students to engage without fear of ridicule or bias. Moreover, the episode extends beyond Barron and the professor. It resonates within broader societal attitudes toward public figures, particularly those who occupy spaces entwined with political narratives. The polarized nature of contemporary discourse raises essential questions about how society perceives success and entitlement, especially regarding young individuals who may be unfairly judged simply because of their last names. The IT calls for introspection regarding how biases impact interactions between students and educators, and urges all involved parties to foster deeper understanding. In contemplating lessons drawn from this incident, we must consider what it means to cultivate an atmosphere where students are empowered to share their identities without judgment or condemnation. Barron's experience signals a potential shift in societal attitudes, a movement towards recognizing individual merit and resilience over familial associations that IT challenges educators and society alike to embrace complexity rather than reduce individuals to mere extensions of their family legacies. Ultimately, this incident serves as a microcosm of the larger conversation surrounding respect, accountability, and identity in education. IT emphasizes our collective responsibility to reshape interactions within academic settings, advocating for respectful engagement irrespective of background. As we navigate complex dialogue surrounding privilege and meritocracy, there lies potential for transformative growth rooted in empathy and understanding. In conclusion, the clash between Barron Trump and the professor is more than just an isolated event. It is a poignant reflection of how we engage with young public figures navigating intricate identities amidst pressures tied to their familial connections. Each party involved offers vital lessons regarding respectfulness, accountability, and the crucial importance of promoting inclusive environments where dialogue thrives without derision. As this narrative continues to unfold, it invites ongoing reflection on how we can collectively elevate discussions around privilege while fostering lasting understanding among diverse communities. As we reflect on the incident involving Barron Trump and the professor's derogatory remarks, it becomes clear that this event resonates far beyond the individuals directly involved. That IT acts as a catalyst for broader societal discourse surrounding education, privilege, and personal achievement. The reactions and discussions sparked by this episode are indicative of deep-seated issues that pervade educational environments and inform our collective understanding of meritocracy and success. At its core, this incident challenges us to confront how societal norms and biases shape our perceptions of young public figures, particularly those with well-known family connections. Barron's experience underscores the pressure faced by individuals navigating their identities in the public eye. When derogatory comments are made, as they were by the professor, they not only target the individual, but also reflect larger societal attitudes toward privilege and entitlement. This calls into question how we define personal achievement and whether we allow preconceived notions to overshadow a person's true capabilities. The episode serves as a reminder that students, regardless of their backgrounds, deserve to be treated with respect and dignity in educational settings. The backlash against the professor indicates a growing awareness among students and educators alike about the importance of fostering inclusive environments. IT raises pertinent questions about how educational institutions can cultivate spaces where all students feel safe to express themselves without fear of ridicule based on their familial associations or public perceptions. Furthermore, this incident illustrates the role of social media as both a platform for accountability and a medium for fostering dialogue. The swift spread of reactions and support for Barron demonstrates how society can mobilize to challenge harmful narratives. T reflects a collective yearning for more nuanced conversations surrounding privilege and identity. Conversations that go beyond simplistic definitions or stereotypes. For many, Barron's dignified response has become symbolic of resilience in the face of adversity, serving as an example for other young individuals facing similar scrutiny. In considering the implications of this incident, we must also acknowledge its potential to transform educational discourse. As discussions unfold about privilege, bias, and respect, there lies an opportunity for educators to reassess their methodologies. It is vital that they engage in ongoing dialogue that prioritizes empathy and understanding over divisive rhetoric. This incident provides a pivotal moment for educators to examine how they address sensitive topics in classrooms and to ensure that they model respectful engagement when discussing complex issues. Moreover, we must recognize that each interaction within educational environments holds the potential for growth and understanding, not just for students, but also for educators. The qualities of integrity, respect, and dignity should guide conversations about privilege in ways that elevate everyone's narrative rather than diminish it. This incident encourages us to consider how Our own biases may inform our judgments and interactions with others, particularly those in positions of perceived privilege. As society grapples with notions of entitlement versus merit, we must forge pathways toward dialogues that promote fairness and inclusivity. Barron's experience calls attention to the fact that societal progress requires us to acknowledge varying narratives related to individual backgrounds and struggles. It invites reflection on how we engage with young public figures who carry the weight of familial expectations while striving to carve out their own identities. In closing, the clash between Barron Trump and the professor resonates beyond an isolated moment. It reflects broader themes that shape our collective consciousness regarding education and personal achievement. This situation serves as a call to action for all stakeholders, students, educators, institutions, and society, to engage in conversations grounded in respect and understanding. As we learn from this incident, let's strive to create spaces where every individual is afforded the dignity they deserve, free from harsh judgments based solely on their lineage or public perception. Ultimately, we emerge from this narrative with essential insights. It is our shared responsibility to foster dialogue that embraces complexity while recognizing individual merit. By doing so, we honor not just Barron's experience, but the experiences of countless individuals navigating their paths in a world that often seeks to define them by their associations rather than their achievements. As we move forward, let us cultivate an environment where empathy prevails over animosity, allowing personal stories of resilience to flourish amidst the evolving landscape of public discourse.